5 o'clock. Any comments on the previous minutes?
No, I haven't found anything.
Did you get a chance to go through them, John?
I saw him online, but
Oh, you did,
Yeah.
you did get the email though?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have anything.
I just quickly look at that. Nothing caught my attention before, so I'm good.
Okay, then I'll entertain a
Okay.
motion.
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor?
It was a long 3 weeks off.
Yeah, I know, we gotta get you back to speed. All right, warrants and abatements are being signed. I had a question on the refund, on just how we figured out why we owe them money back.
Yeah, it was how, we put the meters into billing, and then, when the guys go out, I have to transfer the readings from the billing to the Badger. And so when it comes back in, it carried, like, if you look, that's why I put the picture.
So that's why I was asking.
So see where I don't know if you can see where the decimal point is.
Yeah.
But it was one too many over, so it was saying he was using, like, it's probably like 4,000, but it was saying he was using 40,000.
Okay.
That's
So
one of
That's,
That's one of the new meters, and that's part of my chasing the guys that put the decimal point in now. Like the old meters, the decimal point didn't matter, but in the new ones have a decimal point.
so you have
So
to
you
have.
have, they need to put it in so that they know.
They are, and it's helped tremendously.
So it wasn't like it was just something they were
No.
arguing about, and they were right.
No, it's,
Yeah, that's
it's,
how
you
it
can miss
is.
it. If they don't put that decimal point in, it changes the whole reading. 'Cause now you've got 2 extra placeholders. It looks like thousands instead of 100.
Yep, no, that's,
And sometimes they were doing it and just putting a dot. No, like physically circle it and draw it in, because,
make sure we know.
right.
You think it would get easier with all this technology, not harder.
Yeah, well, I don't know why they changed the resolution like that, but they did.
It's the meters, yeah.
Next, oops, one more of those, right, the electric. I just
Just
have
our
to sign.
size,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, just so we get that out of the way. Stick that in the pile. Right, next thing on new business, 307 South Main Street.
I think I told them to come like 5:15 or
Yeah, she's
5.
coming a
okay.
little bit later.
All right, then go to vendor water sales and service.
It just seems like as everybody else is shutting them down, like Dalton really didn't pull from us last year. Suddenly he's there now. So now you've got, who's it? It's not Jared, it's,
Jay Body?
no, the other guy.
Oh,
Ed, can't think of his,
Jay, last name begins with Jarvis.
Jarvis. There's Dalton, and it looks like Noonan might be hauling, because he's been there.
I've
a few
seen
times.
Noonan's trucks there.
He used to just do the vendor water, and I'd watch it. I don't know whether he's just filling his personal pools and that would be it, or he's finding new business. But it looked like he had repainted a tanker, and I'm like, all right, it looks like he wants to be in the business then. It does take away from the town, because you're filling up them trucks and you're taking them away. The other guys, the 2 trucks that do Vector, they're actually how those trucks come from in town, then people live in town. It's not, so there are like 4 Vector trucks in town, they're from town. It's not like they're coming from out of town to get our water. They have business outside, but those 2 guys that would fill up there are from town.
And those don't take a lot of water.
No, they're 300 gallons, it's like 1 minute to fill them. As soon as they turn on the key, they'll probably try and shut the key off, because they're slow reacting valves, so it takes forever for them to open, and it takes forever for them to close.
We don't want to be spilling the water all over the
Right.
place.
And the other companies aren't, the water isn't remaining in town, it's
No, there's a pool, it's going somewhere.
going to other towns.
Yeah, at some point they'll be ringing. I know today the KOH delivery guy called and he was there at 7 and he goes, I got pool trucks behind me, and I'm going, you do not move. They wait.
Yep.
And we ran up there and got him to do what he needed to do.
Yeah, 'cause you have to be there when they fill, right? For the
Yeah.
chemicals.
And how many gallons are those trucks?
They're 9,000. Because it's water, it's not as dense, so they can take pretty much 8 or 9,000 and go.
And the water, what is the rate on that
So
9,000?
it's 15 per
1,000 cubic
100
feet.
cubic feet. So it's not, it's like, I calculate, it's either 183 or 283, but it's not a lot of money. They complain it's a lot of money compared to somebody who's like some places, they just pump it up out of a well. It's not treated like our water, it's drinking water, it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
So when it goes into a pool and there's a reaction in the pool, they can tell them it's not the water, it's your pool reacting to clean water.
But the thing that kills us with that is if we're running and we can't recover the wells and.
I think it just sets a bad
And they're
message.
taking it.
Right. Well, the people aren't reacting well to it.
It's
There's not a ban, it's a restriction,
Yeah.
but they're taking it as a ban and now they're complaining and kicking and screaming at everything. Like they were picking up on the dust control, which they have to do. It's not
Yeah.
mandated. They have to do dust control.
But it's not mandated that we have to supply.
We don't have to supply them.
If we're in a restriction.
Right.
Well, we don't have to supply them at all.
No.
That's something we were doing because it's extra, it's a higher rate than we
Right.
charge everybody else and it was just extra. But if
Right.
we're getting to a point it's affecting the well.
But it's not, they're like 300 gallons. They're not taking a lot of water either. They're,
Well, the little trucks aren't.
right. They
aren't
fill up the
problem.
truck and then they just drive around with it spraying out in the back.
Yeah.
It's not like they're spraying the entire construction site. So they're not using a lot of water either, and it's metered. I had some woman call and she was all upset. They're just pumping right from the hydrant to the truck. Are they not?" I'm like, no, there's a meter there. She's like, no, I got a picture. Well, Randy sent me a picture. There's a
There's a
meter
meter
there.
there.
So what have you done previous years?
So we haven't bothered them, but they're outpacing us with what they're doing with water. It's not consumption. That sounds like a diesel coming in.
Yep.
That's James.
I mean, if you look across, you can see we jump by millions. It's not, like, we only put in less than 100 houses a year, but we've jumped from, in some years, 1 million gallons in the same month. So it's people, I know where it's going.
Yeah.
You know, there's a guy who grows tomatoes and he does a real good job and he used to work for the town. And I drove by there on a Saturday and it looked like he had a water park going on at
Well,
noontime.
I don't know if he still does, but he had a well.
Alright, it could be well, you know, I
I
didn't.
know who you're talking about and
Yep.
he actually has a deep well.
Alright, and could, I didn't bother to stop,
Well, that Saturday morning, I drove down Harvestwood at 6:45 with my windshield wipers on and the road soaking wet, and I went by 2 houses. that
yeah,
had
they don't have
sprinklers
rain,
on
it
crazy.
should be a requirement for rain sensors and not screwed to the side of the house, they gotta be out where the rain actually hits them. Yeah, I saw when it was raining out, it's pouring rain and there's somebody's system going off, I'm like,
Yeah, same thing in Copper Beach Circle, you go by, you can just look, you don't have to go down the circle, just drive it on, there's Crescent Street there.
yeah,
So
I don't
you
like
can
to
see
call
the
them.
sprinklers going off.
There are like 8 areas where most of our water is going. And it's like the quality of, I'll show you.
Well, do we want to discuss getting rid of the pool filling?
I
Trucks.
would like to see it restricted until we find out what exactly we wanna do with it while we're in the restriction.
I've always felt it's crazy to sell, well, it's crazy to sprinkle the lawns too, but it's crazy to sell that.
So 2 of these are raw water. You can probably point one out right off the top of your head.
Something's cloudy.
Yeah, so
raw
before
water
they
from
began
where?
that pilot test, we didn't have that in Station 1. When I pulled the raw water, you didn't see that. And like
So-
Manley Street is the same, it's beginning to get discolored coming up out of the well.
That can't be good from the well.
No,
That's
but
it.
Manley
We
Street is
just-
treated, so it gets
Yeah.
removed. But it's, you know, it's coming up more raw.
And the other one will get treated eventually.
Yeah.
To get that taken care of, but.
Yeah, but I'm more concerned about the level of the water where it's,
Well, that's
Working hard to
like
get the water out of the ground.
You said the last time, we had the issue where the thing was running more than 24 hours
Right.
straight.
Right.
And that's a couple hours of
It was like,
usage.
yeah, it was what,
That
15%,
comes out of it.
something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, it makes sense. We could always allow it at other times during, but at least now it's, even stop the swimming pool filling.
Right. How would we
Even
implement
that.
that, Wayne?
This is this year, and you can see we're out passing every line except when we had that huge water main break there. And that's with a ban on.
Restriction,
And they're out,
Restriction.
restriction.
they're
But
restriction,
the
yes,
restriction just
restriction.
started.
Yeah, but it was, they haven't slowed down.
So, do you have the ability to limit who uses the water in Manley Street? Like if we
Well,
say we
if
want
you
to
guys
follow
say
up
it,
and
if
tell
you
them.
say it, then I just put up a sign and then you know, you pick a point, give them a few days to say, all right, it ends here. You guys need to go find a new source.
Right.
They have other sources, because I know at times when gas or diesel got real expensive, they would go to different spots, because they didn't want to haul 9,000 gallons, you know, they burn more diesel.
Yeah. Well, would somebody like to make a motion to that effect?
I will make a motion to restrict sales to pool companies at Manley Street Station for the time being.
So I'd like to give them until Friday, so that I, you know, I'll put up a note tomorrow morning and say, you know, as of Friday, the spigots will be turned off at 3 PM.
Effective.
Well, actually, I'll make it at 1 PM, so it's, happens before the end of the day.
and we can review it at every meeting, so every other meeting.
Yeah, we can always review, and if things get better, we can always start doing it again, but
Yeah.
for now it'll be, so amend that to as of Friday at 1 PM.
Yeah,
No more,
You say anything?
effective. I'll make a motion to
Restrict sales.
restrict sales to pool vendors at a Manley Street Station.
And I'll second.
Effective Friday.
okay, motion's made, John seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I'll see if I can get it, we probably have their phone numbers, I have Peter Noonan's in my,
Yeah, just, you know, give them a heads up, but also tell them we don't wanna see, you know, 20 trucks lined up going all the way out to 106.
right, well, there
Trying to
was,
get
like,
around.
last year, they were lined,
Well,
we couldn't get in.
No, we don't need that. Okay, so that takes care of that part. Now, the other issue with that, with the water, you brought it up, is the ineffectiveness of the restrictions.
I've been doing it, I've been here 18 years, and like even when we were painting the tank and put up the signs, eventually, sometimes you get them to stop, but then suddenly Peter over here does it, well, Joe over there sees it,
Yeah.
and Kathy over there sees it, and then suddenly they're all back at it again. They don't,
Or they're calling, tattling on each other.
right, and then we had them last year, they were calling in on each other.
I've had a couple already, actually.
What do we do when you get a call?
Well, I asked him what he wants me to do, so I think I've gotten two.
I think last year we did send on one of them, because he was flagrant anyways, but
Right.
we sent him a thing, and he paid all his fines, he paid his huge bill, but, you know, there's a cost, we're pulling on the aquifer when it's stressed.
That's the important part.
I mean, that's what, now that the thing's been in effect for a little bit, we gotta start getting notices to people and sending them the fines. If they're doing it on the, what is it, odd even, so if they're on the wrong side of the street, or if it's middle of the day, then we gotta get notices to them and we gotta get the fines.
So what I don't like is you end up catching the common person, you know, she went out and she worked on her garden, she just wants and there she is standing there with the hose, it's like, you know, deer in the headlights, but you're catching the wrong person, she's not the one using 1,000 gallons in the hour putting it down on green lawn,
Isn't it just sprinklers right now?
It's just sprinklers.
Yeah. So I mean, when the guy, maybe even have, as the guys are doing their rounds, tell them to take different routes between the station and whatnot to make sure you see as much. Just try to get it as visible as possible
Yeah,
right off the bat on the sprinklers. And, you know, it's not about the money we get on the fines, it's about
Right.
getting them to stop using the water. But if it escalates a bit and the word gets out, maybe that'll help. And if you get a tattle call, then, you know, make sure it's followed up on. That's all. I mean, there's not much else you do. You can't shut people off because they got the sprinklers on.
well, that would be the other thing, do a rolling blackout of water and they'll get the point. Like, for an hour, you're gonna see what no water is like. You know, follow the restrictions. It's easy
I
to,
don't think we technically are allowed to do that.
well,
Uninhabitable stuff, that's kind of an
Yeah.
issue.
I know, but either that
But
or,
it's gotta be done enough to make people take it seriously, because it is an issue if we draw those wells down so much.
right,
And then all it takes, you know, you run it long enough, something's not meant to run like that, it's gonna break.
right.
And then if we can't get the parts or something, then they have a real problem. So, I mean, you're not doing it to be mean, you're doing it to try to keep the thing
Right.
going.
I mean, I can buy signs and hang up water restriction signs, because the only ones I have right now are water ban signs.
Well, they don't say the ought even anyway, do they?
No, they don't.
But it gets the attention out there. Gets everyone's attention if there's a
And
water
if you,
issue.
you know, put it right on the lawn of the people who are.
The violators,
Well, I'd like to,
or
but,
scarlet letter.
well, I put it right outside of all the subdivisions last year and they still ignored it.
Do you need a vote from us, or can you just go buy the
No,
signs?
I can just go buy the
Do it.
signs.
Then just do that as the first thing, and if it gets to a point, because I know we've talked in the past,
Yeah,
that going up to the houses and all becomes a problem with some of the people. If it gets that way, we'll talk to the chief, we'll get get a detail officer to go around. You guys don't need the abuse for
right,
taking care of the rules. And maybe the people who are gonna say the heck with it anyway might change their mind if they have a cruiser out in front of the house. So, I mean, again, it's stuff you don't wanna do, but,
right,
you know, what are you gonna- we have to do something
yeah.
before something breaks in the summer. And what did we run for with water use? That little heat wave there, those 2 days.
So it's hard to judge, because we lost Manley Street last night at about 2 AM it dumped out, so we're still playing catch up. But they didn't decrease any.
So we get a huge spike like we had gotten at that first little heat wave.
Yeah, there was a rain gallon day.
Alright,
Yeah, they haven't, yeah. The rain has helped a little, it's not helping our aquifer because it's not enough, but it's enough that a few of them have systems that work properly.
alright, anything else on sprinklers or
Irrigation, nope.
Okay, so you get the signs in.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, at 307 South Main Street?
What's that?
The show is you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you sign the guest list?
Yeah, we signed it.
So, we're gonna put the building in there, I'm sure you guys know that, 60 by 100, 4 bays. I'm looking to do gonna have a 2-inch tap running under and then put a shut off and then run off of that with a 4, like a manifold with 4 to each one of the bays in the front for with a shut off. To 1 inch, go
So
back
there'd be
down to
4
1 inch. So I'll go
wide.
2 across the road, 1 inch into each bay. That's what you want.
Well, we'd prefer to meter your building and use work about the split, because we can't put a lien on if somebody's not paying our bill. So we'd have to we'd prefer to bill the building, because that way, if the bill doesn't get paid,
So we got one.
that's how we
Well,
actually,
you can, I do it in Bridgewater, and, you can lien the building. You know, it's under my tenant's name, like I have I rent to a hair salon, and they have their own, I have 2 water meters there, upstairs and downstairs, and, one time they forgot to pay their water bill, and I ended up with a lien on the building. So you can lien the building.
see, I was told And that's why the rules are written that way for like
No,
the
it's-
residential ones,
No,
is that
it-
you can't lean
No,
the
it-
property.
Yeah, it's in there, the water is in their name, and, they leaned my building. So now what I do is every.
What do we have to
But
gain
do-
by that?
But do you have something, you have another meter,
or
feed
two-
another,
two
so
meters
you
on
have
the
two
bill.
meters, they lean the building on the
Yeah,
one.
and it's in their name. So what I do now, all of my tenants everywhere, they all pay their own water bills, and every time, it's quarterly, so, every quarter I go online, I make sure they all pay it, so I don't, if anything happens, I don't have a lien. So, and if they don't pay it, I call them up and tell them, you gotta pay your water bill now. So, and they do.
Mr. Chairman, what's the advantage of us letting them have 4 individual meters as opposed to 1 2-inch meter? I mean, leaning is, we don't want to get into the legal business, town council and all that. What is the hardship to have
Well,
4
I
for
want,
us?
if I'm gonna rent out 2 units,
Yeah.
I want them to pay their own water.
So what are you doing about the septic? You metering that as well? You charging
It's
that?
septic, no, we keep that, if that's
And
all.
the tight tank for the gas oil containment that you have in each bay, how are you doing that? I mean, is that gonna be part of the
Yeah,
separation as well?
how is that?
I don't know.
The
So if someone
septic is
uses more
one,
water in space A, do you prorate it according to the other 3 spaces? How do you figure out who determines, or how the cost is associated? I mean, I don't know, I'm just one member, I don't see this as an advantage to the town of West Bridgewater at all, with the 4 separate meters.
Yeah, I just thought we did it because like we did this when we built some, a triplex, but we condoized each one, so you needed it.
Yeah.
But we could condoize those if you
yeah,
wanted.
we have a condoized them too. We'd have 4 separate meters, that way they're paying their own water.
They're gonna have 4 separate electric meters.
Right,
It's the same thing, your water and electric, it's a service that you're getting. It would be the same if we had town sewer, we'd have to meter them on the water, right?
The meter, but there's I'll have to go back and check, because we did come into this about metering, basically being sub-meters. And not being it, because you don't want to ever get there, but the issue is eventually you can put a lien on a property, then it goes through the town instead of through us. I think once you go to that
Right.
point for underpayment, but technically that they don't own the building.
Right.
So it'll, and that, because I remember we were talking about that.
Right. Like
yeah,
in the parks,
Yeah,
you can't lean the trailer, there's just one big piece of property, just like yours is gonna be one big piece of property, but you've got 5 tenants. Like if one of them doesn't pay, it's in their name, we can't put a lien against your building in your name. It's,
oh, well, they did
And
in
it-
Bridgewater, and it's in their name,
but
and they put it
that's
in
something
their
we could look
brother.
into, but I don't know that, again, does it make that much?
Well,
That's why we
It's
assumed that we
not.
could. We just want their utilities to be as separate as possible, because we don't know who's gonna rent it.
well, the other
We
way
don't know the water
would,
use.
would be to have all of the bills would come in your name as Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 4. But it would be up to you to give
Oh,
them,
right, yeah.
the bills would come to you and it would be up to you to give them the bill. When they didn't pay and the second the demand notice came, then you'd know they didn't pay their bill. Because
Yeah,
when
that
we do it,
works.
we pass it off to tax lien and it just goes against the property. And then if there's a mortgage,
Yeah.
it gets applied to that and we get our money back quickly. If there's no mortgage, then it sits there waiting for the property to be sold.
right.
Yeah, well, that works, that would be keeping it separate, then I
Whatever
can
you
just
guys
hand them
want.
their bill.
That's fine as far as.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
concerned.
I don't
As
think
long
that's
as
a safe
you're
fence.
getting, we're billing the owner of the building. basically,
Right.
Right, right,
That way.
yeah, that's fine.
So then what do you have for, did you bring a plan showing how you
What
got
we
that?
have to do for,
So I don't wanna dig the road up, so I got a directional boring guy coming in. And,
Is that cheaper than going across?
what's that, buddy?
Is that cheaper than going across?
Sure is.
Because
Well, I'm not
Drew
cut-
did
I'm
the,
not- I'm not cutting the road, I'm not putting full fill, I'm not paying for a detail.
yeah,
I'm not, I gotta go through under the curb and the sidewalk.
right,
This way I dig a little hole on one side, on my side,
Yeah.
I'll set them up on my side. I do it all the time when I do this stuff, if it's in the city or whatever, if you get good gravel.
right.
I think I'll be all right up there, it's pretty gravel.
Yeah, you don't hit a rock and it goes.
Yeah,
like
well,
this.
then you just pull back and go the other way.
I lost one on the vineyard one time where there weren't supposed to be any rocks.
It's like I said, it's kinda, you do a little praying in the morning, you go out and try.
Yeah, we do it and we don't have much luck
So,
setting the thing
yeah.
for us.
That's gonna run across, right on this corner, running it up, and we'll run right into the corner of the building, or out front, or...
Okay, because this
Whatever
is
you
showing,
prefer.
because this is showing a 1 inch all the way to,
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2 inches across the road, then I was thinking about setting up a shut off right here, you know what I mean? And then go 1 inch into the buildings.
yeah,
So this is only one, this isn't even right, it should be one in each one. It's gonna be a bathroom here on each one of these, a little office.
So you're gonna run the copper outside instead of inside? To each
Whatever you
unit?
guys want, I can run it inside and run them all through here down the line, come in the end. Whatever you guys prefer, whatever you think is smarter.
because we definitely want the shut off right there.
It has to be, yeah, within 10 feet of your property
If I can
line.
get from here to here, boom, put the shut off, then we run in here and run it all off. Whatever you think. Or should I continue 2 inch up to here and then do the...
Well, if you're gonna run,
I just
say you'd be
wanna-
better off running 2 inch up and then splitting it.
Right,
If you're gonna
just some more
split,
back pressure.
and get to all 4 meters. Now, you're gonna, what are you gonna do for the meters? You're moving these office units for the individual meters?
Whatever, yeah. What are you gonna think of, yeah, where are we gonna put it, in the closet?
Yeah, cause you want them
Probably-
heated, cause they're burst meters, so if
Right,
they
right.
freeze, the
I would put
bottom
them in the
bursts.
bathroom,
Yeah, well, there's a closet, then a bathroom, so in that
put it in
closet.
that closet, so we'll
Yeah.
put them in the closet.
Yeah, as long as they're not outside or in a vault, you know.
No, there's a
A little meter
closet, when
puts
you
in.
walk in, there's a,
No, I wouldn't want to.
There's a closet.
All right.
so it could be right
We'll go
right
after
here.
this winter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty,
we'd like to count on it.
Yeah, but you know what
It's
happens.
nice if our winters became like that.
Yeah.
The day you plan on it, you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
No, that'd be good, put them in the closet, run them right in.
Yeah, each unit has a closet.
Okay. As long as,
So what if, just to get back, so we're gonna have 4 separate meters, so we're gonna have
we're gonna build, we would be billing,
one, so we're gonna have 1 master meter, they're gonna have
No.
4 sub meters?
no, we're gonna have, there's gonna be a meter to each unit, there won't be a master meter. But they're all goes
On
to
one
them,
bill.
but they're all to them being billed. So if one of them doesn't get paid,
Okay.
it's them, it's not.
And if you guys decide that that don't work or something else comes up that's better or whatever, that's not, I mean,
What's wrong with just having sub meters and then have you guys deal with
Whatever
the
you
paper?
guys-
I'm not comfortable with the 4 individual meters. I just think that we're in the bill, you know, we don't wanna be in the bill collecting business if someone doesn't pay in unit 1.
Well, we wouldn't be, the way, this is,
Or the
this,
leaning of the property and all
no,
that.
but again, we wouldn't be because their names on each bill.
Collected from the owner.
So it's like if these were 4 separate, same as if this were 4 separate buildings.
Yeah.
So if they own it and they have to pay us, not
I
they.
get it, but then 10 years from now, things change, ownership changes and something, and the next thing you know, this gets lost in the paperwork. That's my concern. I'd rather see one master meter and then 4 sub meters that they're
Whatever.
responsible for and go, it's just less paperwork for us.
as long as we have a way to monitor them.
Yeah, sub meters is the way, I mean.
Yeah,
it's
so
a lot.
how does the sub meter work? So I'm not.
It just, you get the big one, we pay that, then we watch the other ones as they get
And
used up
you'd
for
be,
each one.
you'd be having to
Yeah,
charge
So
your
it's the
tenants
same
based on
thing,
those
I would
meters.
just give my tenant,
It is.
Except it would be an extra meter, you'd have to find a place for a 2-inch meter in your building. And then send that off to the others.
so each unit does get their own meter.
right, so as long as you.
But there'd be your meter, we wouldn't be reading those meters and sending you any, you'd have to read the meters.
Oh, so every month I have to go and read that meter?
Right.
We bill quarterly, we don't bill monthly.
Do a quarterly or something.
Oh, quarterly, okay, so
Yeah, but
every
we wouldn't
quarter-
be, because that's the other thing we.
That just takes you guys off the thing, like I understand what you're saying. That means it's just one simple meter and it keeps it simple forever. No reason to confuse it. Going down a wormhole.
Is there a minimum charge that you
Yes.
charge?
Yeah, what's the 2-inch is? Wrong page, of course.
so a 2 inch is $10,687, and then the meter would be at cost. So I can't tell you, it could be somewhere between $600 and $1,000. Until I order it, I don't know what the cost is.
Yeah, going up and down, it's crazy.
Right, like the 3 inch I just bought was $4,000, so, but the 2,000 is a lot less, it's a different kind of meter.
Okay.
Okay, you guys think that's good, 2 inch to 1 inch, that'll be all right?
It should be, it's for 4 units.
Yeah, you're not,
20.
I mean, basically your toilets, you're
It's
not,
not a car
it's
wash.
not a
It's
car
just
wash,
offices.
it's not,
Yeah, basically that's all you're gonna do is have one toilet and a little
right.
sink.
And if you ever have problems with usage, it's basically one of your toilets didn't seat right or something. It's more than, you know, unless you have somebody washing cars for a living, then that's different.
No. So we're the only meeting tonight, huh? We're the only one?
You're the only ones in here, other than
It's
our
pretty
other
dead,
regular
isn't it?
stuff.
Not for us, but
Yeah, we got
Well, you guys have a lot of problems, huh?
not problems, it's just we're going through some,
Challenges.
we're doing some technical work and we're refitting one of our plants and proposing another plant, so.
Wow, good. Bridgewater's got some shit water.
Yeah, they just brought that other plant online. I have heard that, but they just brought the other plant online.
It's been pretty rusty and really nasty looking.
Like if you bring something on, it depends where you are. If you bring something new online and it starts pushing from a different direction, then it does have a tendency, if you don't go and clean up in front of it, and then what's gonna happen is it's gonna blow mud out into the system. And then it takes time for it to subside.
Right.
But I know they did have their issues, just like we were getting to that. So we have 2 wells that are on pilot right now, so those are our more problem ones.
What would you guys need for timing as far as heads up? I already got pretty much everybody almost lined up.
Well, we'd like to have an updated plan showing what the, you know, the right sizes, where the line's gonna run.
There on the closet, okay.
But yeah, once we have that, we shouldn't,
Was just basically trying to get it under the road and across. I'm not worried about the building, but can we do that part first, or how long will it take you to get that plan redone?
What am I doing to it?
Just
have
Yeah,
well,
it-
actually, I don't
closet.
care, as far as this point, what goes in the building isn't us as much as to get the 2-inch pipe coming in, show where it's gonna go into the building. We'll assume it's gonna be in the building, like we were talking about for the meeting.
I'm gonna come in on the end, right up on
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, none of this is what we
Right, I'll
talked
do that,
about,
I'll
so
get
get
that
that
put on there,
changed.
run it all the way down and put it around each closet,
Yeah.
bring it up, and then we'll pour the floor around it, do it right.
So you need the engineer to put that on the plan.
Yeah, we wanna see that on the actual site plan, the utilities showing where it's gonna be,
Give
how
us
you're gonna
something
go
to-
into the 2-inch meter and then come back out and go
Yeah.
into your 1-inch meters.
Yeah, that's kinda shabby right there, wasn't it?
And then is there like an application that we do?
We do have one.
The new one?
Yeah.
I think I gave that to you the other
Yeah,
day.
okay, I have that.
Yeah.
And then I'll submit it with the plan, the updated plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's a 2-inch copper water service from the street to the meter, and then from the sub-meters that you have after the master meter, it's also required to be copper from that sub-meter to the space, because that's under the plumbing code, which requires it to be copper underground.
Everything's copper until you get to the up top.
Actually, everything's copper throughout the building for
Right,
plumbing
it's
wise.
commercial, right?
Yeah,
Copper and cast.
copper and cast. And not that it matter, I mean, if you might want to review what you plan on doing for oil gas separation for each space, if motor vehicles are allowed into the space. So you need to come up with some sort of plan for that, as well as either a tight tank or a gas oil separator into a tight tank or something, so.
Yeah, we got that,
Okay.
already for the garages and stuff.
Okay.
I think that's the only thing you kinda screwed up on, actually.
Right, but
And,
yeah,
is the electrical on? I didn't even look, is it? Yeah, cause there's a pole on the right side, I wanna come off of that, that's another thing I did, temporary,
I don't see electric on this one,
yeah.
could be missing it.
You go over on the right. Next to that little yellow house, that power for his house runs off a separate pole.
There's a
can
pole,
run
I
off
see a
that pole.
pole right on the corner, then there's nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna run from that pole underground, cause it's already crossing over.
Yeah,
that
that's
house.
not shown on,
But he has nothing on there for that.
so that'd be, yeah, that's what we wanna see, updated utility plan
Yeah.
showing that.
Yeah, no problem.
You don't need sprinklers for this building, right?
No, it's under the
Square
side.
footage, yeah.
okay. Alright.
So I get that plan updated and we'll just come in and see you guys again.
We'll just drop it off, right? Or do we need another meeting?
I mean, if you have it here, unless there's something that's a surprise, I don't see why you'd have to show up for the next one, but if you wanted to, you'd be welcome.
No, because I saw you're already clearing the site up
We'll
there.
bring donuts.
Yeah.
Alright, so is that it?
Yeah, we're all on the same.
And
Yeah,
so,
and you've got the application, you know what the fee's gonna be.
yeah,
You own the 1-inch meters, so
Right.
there's nothing associated with us
Right.
on that.
yeah, that's no problem. It goes to Hawaii. This is $20,000 water hookup.
Alright,
Yeah?
and we'll just have to.
No, it shouldn't be
Half that.
half that, so.
You can go to California, stop.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Have a good
We're
night.
gonna take that plan.
Yeah.
We don't have any of those.
Oh,
Thank you.
thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Have a good night, good to see you. Bye, Joe.
Bye, Ann. Be good.
You too.
Rating?
What?
Carol, can't.
Reese?
Oh,
Yeah, R-E-I-S.
It's Bridgewater,
Oh, you chopped down a tree in my house.
Yeah?
yeah.
Bridgewater
Reese.
Tree and Creek. He's on
Yeah,
this,
on-
Joe Reese.
Joe Reese?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thought you were familiar.
Okay, so that'll come in, and we'll just deal with it when it comes in at the meeting.
Yeah.
You have a lead time for getting a 2-inch meter?
I don't think so. Those are usually pretty much in stock. The one for the other building, there was a turbo, it's a dual compound meter, so it was different, but it's just lucky they had one.
When somebody comes in here for us, does that mean that they've already been approved to planning board and conservation commission?
Yeah, I think so, yeah,
Okay.
because he's already clearing the site up there.
Okay.
I just threw in the fact about the gas oil container, because usually what happens is that then I'll show up, and they're like, well, we don't need it, and then it just delays their end.
Yeah.
So I just wanna,
They go on for septic yet?
I don't think so.
I haven't seen that plan, so.
Well, I haven't
That
seen
didn't,
it. If you haven't seen it, I
that
haven't seen it.
didn't look familiar, so I don't know,
Yeah.
unless maybe I'm just getting forgetful. Could be that too. All right, that old business.
So, station 1, 2, and 4, still waiting on the green sand filter.
If I can on that,
Yeah.
there's been some activity in the news about, lawsuits in regards to PFAS, and I know one in particular was I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this, about the lawsuit started, I think, in Stewart, Florida, against 3M, who was one of the manufacturers of PFAS, and today it was set to go to trial.
Somebody just
We-
settled.
We are involved already, way back, the town got us into one of the classes.
So we're one of the 4,000.
So we are one of the ones, they actually just sent out a update today, because I think they postponed something.
Today's trial.
Because they're trying to they were close to the settlement.
Yeah, I think
And we're involved in that one.
But today's trial was for Stewart, Florida versus 3M, but I think that's gonna be set.
But it's not just one, there's like.
No, the one I saw included like several companies, it wasn't just one company.
Yeah, that's the only one I could think of was
3M's the primary one that
Right.
was in firefighting.
But I mean, I see the total like billions, but then I hear our representatives saying we've got billions, and then when you try to put your hand on it, you can't get your hand on it. Like at this point, with the federal regulations set at 4, every one of our wells now,
It's gonna have to.
right, has to have treatment for it.
But this is this is gonna be more like the MTBE, when they did that with the gas station leakage.
I was
It's
thinking
gonna,
more
it's gonna,
asbestos stuff.
no, it's gonna be a huge settlement that all kinds of people, I mean, whatever the dollar is, it's gonna get split up.
Yeah.
And we are involved in the suits through the Board of Selectmen. I think because they're the ones that had to file with the attorneys. And we get updates once in a while from the attorneys that say, yeah, nothing's happening, or yeah, this is going forward, and they've added this. And it sounded today, the latest one that came out was like they were talking about, it looks like something might be coming to a head on one of them, as opposed to, just dragging it out. But didn't say anything about specific numbers or anything else, and it was specific to 3M.
PFAS isn't even, I mean, they still can manufacture it for another 2 years until 2025.
Yeah, it's not going away.
No,
It's
I mean,
not
they're
going
still
away.
using the chemical or whatever.
And it's not, they're just gonna create another Gen X compound. So even though PFAS, they ban, there'll be another combination.
In 10 years from now, they'll find out that that's doing something.
Right.
I mean, it's how, then they figure out how to measure even smaller amounts, and they regulate the smaller amounts.
Can you find anything smaller than 4 trillionths of parts per trillion?
I think that's why they said it, that was the limit on them detecting it.
Yeah, that's
Right
all.
now.
That's why it got set there, they can't detect. So anything between 0 and 4 is an action level, so you have to take action, so no matter what, it's like being above, you have to treat it.
Yeah. Until people at the labs come up with a way to detect smaller amounts,
Yeah.
and then they'll go down to low ones.
How many trillions in a quadrillion? It's the next one.
Yeah. Okay. So the pilots, they're still waiting.
They're still waiting on the green sand filter to come free from where it is.
What, do they have an idea on schedule or?
It sounded like a month or two, but I don't wanna hold them
Yeah.
up to it.
And then Station 3, they're working on.
So yeah, so you saw the change, so you have a change order there for taking the gravel underbed out, removing the screen and the gravel underbed out.
Because they didn't look inside
Right, they didn't look inside,
when you told them they could look inside.
yep. So I know that they contacted, who's it, APV, the Vector company, the one in Bridgewater.
How much is it for? Oh, EPV?
Yeah. So it's 32 something, 3,200 and something. 3,200.
322381, which goes,
Which, you know, somebody has to get in the tank to physically unscrew all of the screws that are in there, and then remove the screening, and then you can begin vectoring it out.
and Tater and Howard thinks they're owed that based on what the work in the contract.
Yeah. Well, because it wasn't expected.
Is this the only copy?
Yes.
It's a prevailing wage job, right?
Someday I gotta read up on that. Like, I saw somewhere that anything above 10 million had to be it, and it's like, I know there's the name Beacon and something, or this Beavis and something, whoever the people were that came up with this, but it should have been, not everything should be forced to be prevailing, like,
No.
prevailing rate.
But public stuff generally,
Is, but there should have been $1, like if you exceed, like small things, it cost me, if I have a fence installed, it cost me a fortune, cause I'm paying, you know, every person that's standing there $60
well,
an
that's like
hour.
the reason I mentioned, you look at the labor rate that
Right,
they're charging.
it is, yeah, we always.
But again, it's
Davis Bacon.
That's it, yep.
Davis Bacon, pork.
Well, like it's crippling to a town, like to us, we're an enterprise unit, cause it costs you so much to do anything.
And they want that quickly because they're moving forward on it.
Yeah, they were supposed to start tomorrow, but has to be somewhere else, so he's not gonna start tomorrow. But I know he asked for the paint schemes for the pipes and stuff, so I gave that to him all last week.
Yeah, because he needs to submit the paint and everything, make sure we're getting stuff that's not gonna be peeling off. And
Right.
the guy from Tater and Howard come out yet? The one that he was out there with us when we met with them that day, what has he been doing? Out there with Dan Chris?
Well, nobody's
Yeah,
actually
set up.
come on site yet. Tomorrow is supposed to be the first day,
Okay,
and
that's- all right.
they've already canceled that.
It is what it is.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to execute the change order.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Let's see what else
Where,
I don't care.
where is it for the signature? Okay, and I'm the only one that signs it, right? I believe. You tell James he's gotta get a new stamp. Signature's not coming through.
Not a big.
It's today the 4th or 5th?
Fifth.
Yeah. All right.
Alright, well, we're still holding here. Then there's the next one for the engineering services for piloting design of the, so this is the long term.
This is the one that we're supposed to get us for review, not to execute tonight. That's when he was here, we asked him to give us one to look at before we went through. Is there multiple copies of this, or is the only one?
No, I can make more copies.
Yeah, could you make copies so they have them, and we'll,
Rose is on Secretary's Day. Or it's admin day.
Admin day.
if you consider the cost of the contract, it'd be nice to be able to look at it first in case.
Yeah. Yeah. Even email would be okay.
Yeah. I've done it in the past, I'm not sure why. We didn't on this one.
So this little bit of rain we've had the past few days, is it affecting the aquifer level or? No?
I mean, so they cut the demand a little bit.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a bit before the aquifers, we need weeks of that kind of thing.
Weeks of like spring rain type of thing before the.
If it rains too hard, it runs off.
Yeah.
If it doesn't rain hard enough, it doesn't snow, it gets, evaporates fast. This should, I mean, we've got a few decent days, it should
Yeah.
hopefully do a little.
I think the signs will help, though. I think that people just aren't aware of it. The issue
Oh.
with the restriction.
They put the ban signs up before, it hasn't done a heck of a lot yet, so, I mean, we'll see. But well, we have a choice. We're gonna have to
No,
push.
that's the issue. It's not, there is no option.
And it's shooting ourselves in the foot too, because by having
I know.
them use less water, we're
Thanks, Mike.
selling less water, we're getting less revenue.
Yep.
Delineation of wetlands, outside the fence.
Yeah, pretty much everything.
So there's that change order right there. We don't need to spend they don't need to spend $3,300 for a wetland scientist.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Still gotta go ahead.
Unfortunately, conservation
No.
won't accept, yeah, everything out there. They want to see it. That's right, this is for the SRF.
Yes.
Do you need a deluge shower or just an eye wash? What do you have, the deluge or eye
No,
wash?
we have a shower and an eye wash.
Is it a deluge shower or a regular shower?
It's yellow, that's all I can
So it's
tell
a deluge.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
there's one of them in there. There's two eye wash, it's not. It's you fill water into it, and when you pull it off by gravity, it pours up at your
yeah,
eyes.
the
Just
deluge
near the
showers,
house.
there's a board policy that requires a lot of water. It's like, it's a lot of water in the,
Yeah, we haven't,
as opposed to an eye wash.
it's in there in the chemical area.
Yeah.
That's the number I have an issue with. Because that wasn't in the original estimate.
You recall the number from the original?
Zero?
Good know it.
Yeah. Nobody does anything for zero.
No?
I wish I had that sheet he gave us last time. It's a, I have it on my bill somewhere.
Wayne does.
They might. They keep moving they move my stuff on me.
I mean, they.
That would be me.
Was it this one?
I think so.
What's the date on that?
This one's May 3rd.
That's what he brought to the meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the three, oh, I'm sorry, the 316 is the number. It's a 345. Before it was included in construction services. Estimated in 2022, that went up 345,000.
Okay, but that's not resident, we're not talking about resident project here.
Right.
We're talking
So I don't
about,
see that on this.
no, we're talking about design services. Is what this would be covering under, which they started at 450, came back to that. So now he's back up another 50,000, if that's the one. Yeah, but this is, unless they add a design here or something. Design, bidding. Yeah, it does seem to be, have gone up on the design by about 50,000.
In 3 weeks.
Because in the last one, he had this breakdown.
Which one is that? Yeah, design and permitting 242, pilot testing, bidding. But that's after this one. Well, that's right, that's before this one.
Yeah, this one was before.
And then they knocked it. Because that matches the contract. 266. Oh, wait a minute, pilot study is down here, and that's been moved up. No, that's the same number. 266.50 is 316. Because this pilot study portion is included in this design contract.
They have,
That's the right number.
they have to do the pilot.
Yeah, it's just the way that they put things in the, change the breakdown. Somebody did drive down a second ago.
Is this open to the public or no?
Sure, come on in. You just have to sign in and the, I don't know that one.
Right, so the number does.
So the number's the same.
The number does match. what it's
16,000.
supposed to
It just includes the pilot, yeah.
be. Yeah. Yeah, piloting, design, and building.
Alright, so they're still gonna get back to us on this number. This is what we made motion to approve this last time.
Yep.
And this is just us signing it.
Yeah, we hadn't actually seen the detailed scope on it, but it's it's basically what's required for SRF.
Right, because we had to do that regardless of
Yep.
who did the work.
And they got Blue Leaf coming in and they're under the piling. You want to execute this tonight and get them going? Or would you like to?
Well, the numbers are the same,
Would you
so
like to, just say if you want a little time to look at it, or we can vote for it tonight.
I wouldn't have a problem going on tonight, get the ball rolling so we can
Right.
start moving this thing forward.
Yeah, I'd be fine, because
Numbers the
this is
same.
actually a number that went down from last year. This was supposed to be 450,000.
No,
Yeah, that's when they moved some into the construction services part, and all that went. All right, so I'll take.
So I'll guess I'll make the motion that we move forward with this proposal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You have the original first to sign? Must be, you made a copy.
Yes, I did hold the original for once. Oh, it made a difference, they were all in color.
And then this has to go into the town hall for the availability of
This-
funds, right?
Yep.
Which,
Yep, so
which are available.
Is that the money that we
Yes, so the town meeting
passed
did.
the town
act-
meeting?
Yeah.
2 million or whatever it was?
Well, it's actually for the full 4, but it's really only 2.7.
But we have, it's there so we can go ahead.
Right.
And then
Right.
get the money out after.
Yeah, because we're slow coming through the ARPA process, which I kind of thought was gonna. And then there's still one more.
Because we want to get that through for the, so we don't miss any of the deadlines.
Take this instead of the pile.
This is the lead and,
All on proper agreement that we
Yes.
basically,
yeah. So we actually did put a thing up online with a QR code, and we posted out. So it's up there, so we'll wait to see if people find it. And then we also updated our side, from water main to curb box, our side, our inventory.
Okay. And how many did you determine how many lead services we actually have in town?
We don't have any.
Not even the connection from the galvanized to the,
So goosenecks would be impossible to find, but and where there's a new water main, for the most part, you won't find a lead gooseneck there either. You'll find weird ones in weird spots. It's like, I've seen 3 in my 18 years.
Yeah.
so the authority to file and certify, does that have to go through the town hall people, or?
Well, I think this is giving them permission to file for us, for the grant, so that we don't, It's them chasing the money, not us having to allocate money first. That one needed, I think it needs some explanation, because I don't,
Well,
when I just saw that, it looked like some of the things that I'd passed through the town hall were there.
well, no, that's the only thing I'm wondering is if that has to, I mean, we would be, like the way the ARPA money went,
Yeah,
similar to that, if they have to have something on there as well. Like it has to go through either selectmen to give us the ability to apply. I mean, we're definitely gonna do it, it's just a matter, we don't wanna put it in and have it get bounced back to us because it's something else.
Yep.
Can we just check that out and do this in the next meeting?
yeah, I can ask them to either explain it line by line, what has to
Yeah.
what they're looking for here, or show up and then,
Because that was right, what, if it could be simply just, we make it the water commission saying it, I'm authorized to do on behalf, but I just wanna make sure it doesn't have to
yeah,
be
because
something.
it's all
that-
blanks there, so I'm not
Yeah.
sure what goes where. And he was gonna be here, but he had a conflict, so he couldn't be.
All right, well, this isn't holding up anything critical.
No, because I'm moving ahead, we're moving ahead on our side anyways to start getting inventory.
Unless somebody's in a rush. And find out,
Yeah, it's,
all right,
we can find out what we need to do.
yeah, because otherwise, if we do it and we end up putting the thing in the wrong place, we know
And it
what's
just
gonna
starts
happen.
over again.
Yeah. So might as well-
Delay things.
Yeah, we just get the answer and
Alright,
we can do that for the next meeting.
yep.
It's 11 o'clock.
The update,
Yep, replacement well,
I haven't heard anything on the VFDs.
they're still in the ether somewhere.
Yeah,
When did those get ordered? It's
that
gotta
was
be
more than a year ago.
It was, they were,
Like they committed, but it was
We were
more than a
waiting.
year ago that they ordered them.
we were waiting for them before I ran,
Yeah,
so, year and a half.
yeah, it's been a long time. It's,
Just one of those, then, we did finally get a date and then they immediately missed the date.
yep, yeah,
And we don't, and they're not giving us another date.
no.
So what is that for? Just to,
So the variable frequency drive is what
Oh,
runs the
okay.
well. So when
Alright.
the well produced so much water, when we brought them both online at the same time, it took the transformer off the pole, so I need the variable frequency drive to ramp them back up and have the electrician here watching the amps as we bring them back up to see whether it was just too much water. I mean, we had to head the wells before, but this time that well produced almost as much as the other one, so the way they come together, it tees just,
Yeah, so the replacement well is
it produced a
doing well
lot of
for
water.
production, but we can't put it in.
Right.
you can't throw it down.
The only way for me to drop it down is to close the gate valve in front of it, and then you deadhead in the pump.
Yeah, that can't
So
be-
you're gonna burn out the pump
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah, and you're still using, and you're using the power. It's
Oh,
not
yeah, it's gonna use a
VFD,
lot
you
of
crank
power.
it down, you're saving
Right.
power on it. at the
Yeah,
same time.
you can just ramp it down, and it's just take like a light dimmer switch.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll just wait. Walnut Street tank, I owed James a phone call, actually,
All
on
right.
that one. I was gonna talk to him about a couple things in that report that they
Yeah.
dropped last time. And I'll get that done this week.
The composting, that's what I was looking to see. I know they're heading towards they're going before the zoning next.
Did you make that
Yeah.
meeting, Dylan?
I went to that meeting, they opened the public hearing and then closed it because their council advised them to bring it before ZBA first for the zoning portion, and our town council agreed. So,
So basically nothing happened.
nothing happened, it's gonna go to zoning, zoning has to post a meeting and check the agenda, I didn't see it on there for this upcoming meeting, so it's probably another couple weeks out or a month out. And then if they get approved by zoning, then it comes back to planning board for their approval.
So nothing
Nothing. The best option is they sell the land back to us, we apply for a grant and buy it from them, or they just donate to us. It's the best option because that's a zone 2 recharge.
Yeah.
It's not.
Which that's one thing, why we didn't just buy that when we're buying all that other land.
Yeah.
We left this one little parcel in the corner.
Yep.
But
The power plant would have been more watched oversight, not these guys.
when it's a place you can't get to, it's not like you can easily see what's going on over there.
Right.
So, wouldn't really matter who was in there unless it's a really heavily regulated thing like the power plant.
Right.
All right, solar,
They're still working on it. I know I heard from them. I know they contacted the Mark, our well person,
yeah.
and he told them, you're not ceramic coating anything, the things are too small. So I don't know where they went.
So they're still
after
coming
that.
back with,
Yeah, they haven't come back to me with their final report yet. I did find the report though that Rick paid for. It wasn't much.
that was a while back.
Yeah, I don't know if I showed it to you, but I did find it.
Okay, job posting.
Well, you know my thoughts.
Yeah, no, but they don't know.
They don't know them. So there is somebody, he's got 8 years of experience in the water industry. He became disgruntled for a reason, so he's looking.
Can this be discussed in open meeting, or should it go into executive session?
I'm not gonna mention anybody's name or where he's coming from.
Okay.
So I don't know, cause I'm not reaching out to anybody, so I don't know whether he still wants to come or not. I'm thinking he does because of what we've heard from our human resources. So it would just be down to what you offer him for pay.
Okay.
So the last guy we brought in at the high end because he had
Experience.
he had the top, currently we're rated a T2, D2 system. So he had the T2, D2
Licensing.
credentials. So this guy has T1, D1 credentials. It's still licenses, he's got 8 years of experience. He spoke fairly knowledgeable from what I could,
No,
from what I heard.
he seemed good during the interview.
Right. And he has some other skill sets that would be valuable too, but, they're on a lesser value, they're not water related, but for other things that we do, it'll still a good skill set.
So we started
At the top end.
Brian at 20.
5, at the 5.
At the
So it
5.
goes 1 through 5, so we brought Brian in at the 5, the top.
Okay, and you were talking about bringing him in possibly at the 5.
I mean,
Right.
ultimately, he'd get to the 5, he's a body, like I said, so for him to move, he's walking away from whatever he has in his sick time bank, because we don't match that or offer any compensation. He's walking away from, if he has 8 years, he's getting 3 weeks of vacation, and in 2 years, he'd get 4 weeks. We don't match anything, so he basically starts from 0 again on all counts.
Yeah, my only issue with matching the 5 is he doesn't have the licenses.
So you could make
Which,
it,
if we could make, my thought would be, if he would take it, give him the 4, which is gonna be an immediate bump in July anyway.
Yeah.
The rate's gonna go up pretty much to what he'd be getting if we brought him in at a 5.
yeah.
And then bump him again once he got his licenses.
If
And
he
his-
got it
and
before
what
the
and
year
what he
was up.
said was, he took the classes, right? And he
So-
just hadn't, and it's kind of a big deal to not have the T2, because that means he can't do the stuff the other guys can go into the plant and do by themselves.
Well, as a T1, he can.
I thought he can't run the manual.
No, you're allowed to be 1 under, but you have to have people at grade. So currently, my license gives us the T all the way up to 4, and Randy's has a D3, so everything's good up into a D3. And I have a D4, so no matter what, you're good. But the distribution side, we're not gonna ever have any pressure changes unless you put pump houses out there somewhere. So that's never gonna change, but the treatment might with the coagulation or with Manley Street with the PFAS treatment.
That can change.
Yeah, we're not sure what's gonna happen there.
So typically where 1 through 5 would his licenses be if he started with us green and worked his way up through?
Then it would take him 5 years to get to the top. He'd get there even if he didn't, no matter what, it's by union contract that each year you advance up.
So he's got a 1-1, right?
He has a 1-1, yeah, he has a T1, D1,
Would
yeah.
that typically be like year 4?
I usually try to get them, so the D classes are, if you take a D class, it's D1 through 4, so you only take one class. The T classes, they don't usually force you to take a T1 class, but you're not gonna know anything unless you take it. So you start at a T2 class and then the other class is a T3, 4 class. So you have to take, in total, 3 classes for all licenses, but 2 on the T side.
But he can go, if I remember right, he said he had taken the class.
Yeah.
So, do they sit for those exams on a schedule, or is that something now you can just?
You can schedule any time. It used to be like quarterly, but it's not. Now you just, they're in HR, certain H&R blocks have the terminals in them.
So we could basically say, you know, we'll bump you when you get the,
Right,
because if he had the T2, D2,
right,
I'd have no problem saying to bring him in at
Yeah.
that same rate, because that would be equivalent to what
yep.
we had.
Right.
There you go. What are your thoughts?
I like that idea, incentivize it to get the licensure too.
Because it's not like you have to wait 9 months to be able to, you know, sit and take the exam.
No, you can do
He
it.
could go,
It's-
he can go in and do it.
Is that
Basically, you take-
PSI that administers the test?
Yeah, there's yeah.
PSI, they do all the,
I know they've changed names, but I think they're doing it pretty much everybody now. Because I sat beside a nurse who couldn't shut her mouth the whole 3 hours.
Now.
that's how it is with plumbing licenses and things. Like you can be in a classroom of 30 people, but they could be cosmetology and,
Yep.
and electricians
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yep. Yeah, they've all moved towards the
Yep.
standardized testing.
I like that idea, Mr. Chairman,
Go.
Yeah, I agree with Art's idea. I get what you're saying about potentially losing him, you know, based on what he has already going for him, but I'd like to incentivize it a little bit and, you know, not set a precedent where, you know, everyone comes in at 5.
Yep. Not here to argue with anybody.
no,
Well, no, I mean, it'd be nice if we could just if we could
Right.
do stuff like we've got the contracts we have to do
Yeah.
too. But we can give him tell him we can upgrade him once he gets that.
right.
Yeah, just make it part of the offer letter.
Yeah,
So it's in writing somewhere, then
yeah.
the selectmen see it and they vote on it to ratify it.
So would somebody like to make a motion that we offer him to come in at level 4, or was it grade 4, it's called?
Yeah.
At grade 4, with the ability to raise to grade 5 upon,
Passing
Passing the
proper licensure
T2
exam.
yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Made and seconded, any further? All in favor?
Aye.
Do you let Linda know?
Yeah, I'll send her an email in the morning.
All right. Maybe, he was good. I mean, if he had that, if he just took the test. But like you said, he
I
had-
don't know
he
why
was
he
kind-
waited, like,
He said it was kind of because of the things that were bugging him about it, and he took the class and didn't take the test.
But is there a time limit in terms of taking the
no,
class?
so
and
it's,
test?
so you take the class, but the class doesn't it teaches you stuff and gives you some help, but you really have to spend time reading at home. It's not, like, there's a lot of studying and a lot of memorization. It's different, wastewater was a lot different. You had to know chemical, it was worse. You had to know chemical combinations, and one math problem could use 5 sheets of paper. The water is not as bad, but it's still a lot of memorization. They pick little blurbs out of certain things, like obscure references
Yeah.
for a question. And the questions got bigger. You've got 3 minutes a question, and the question size increased to almost a paragraph you're reading, trying to read it and comprehend it, and then there aren't as many givens. I sat for the first one, I remember sitting in the wastewater and the girl beside me was up in like 30 minutes and I hadn't even gotten off the first page. So I remember sitting in my first water exam and I made sure I was always the first one out. I was kind of an armpit that way.
So, can you send me a copy of the resume? Just so I can look at it?
Yep, yeah, I'll try to piece it together. It's
Yeah, the way they come through from.
that one came like, I don't think he filled out an application, he's just sent in his resume, but it came in pieces, so I'll try to put it together and clean it up, because it,
Okay.
No, it was good. He
Yeah.
made a real good impression at the interview.
yeah, in talking, it was like listening to someone, what I heard was a lot different.
So hopefully, hopefully he'll take it. And again, at least, it's June, so there's an instant increase.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Fiscal year change.
also, he's having his second child in July, so that's working in some way. He might want to wait until he gets past that, which I don't have any.
Well, in the meantime, he can take the test.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, that's the thing. It's
I would do it before the newborn gets there and you don't sleep anymore.
All right, let's see, anything on the ARPA?
So I did fill it out last, I forget, Thursday or Friday, I, let David know I was gonna do it, and then I got in and I put it in, and I just saw an email this morning, actually I saw it on Sunday, I think, that Catherine kicked back, we need to put more in, so I didn't have time today, because I got the last of our.
Well, more about just information on.
Yeah, because when I put it in, it wouldn't allow me to put the rest of I had 3 sheets of thing that I was gonna upload, there was the breakdown of the cost, there was some signature things, and there were 3 things to get in, but it only let me put in 1, and I'm not sure it actually got in. So I emailed her directly, along with David, to let him know that it wouldn't let me put that stuff in, so it wasn't unexpected that she was gonna come back and request
Okay.
more information.
So it's not like you need to get more information. You
No,
already
I just
it,
have
you
to-
just need to be able.
Right, I just have to be able to put it in, and I have to wait and work through because I'm not allowed direct access.
But eventually, we'll get.
I'll get it there, I keep plugging.
Progress.
So it does seem like it was kind of more difficult than it needs to be.
Right, I don't know why I can't be the other thing on it. Whatever.
Okay, next item, rates and service fees.
I do know I need to do this. Oh, it'll be the next one. I have to have time to look at them. I've been flat out trying to get the lead and copper out, which that's what I did. I took Deborah, I think I made her ill because I was flying around town dropping bottles in mailboxes. Because I had to go get more bottles today so that
Did we get enough people?
I got enough people. In the time that she put it up by the next morning, I had to pull it down quickly because I've got more than enough. So, I'm sampling everybody to put in because, they were good enough to step forward. These people more want to do it than the people that I've had, but I've been here since '05. I've been doing the lead and copper since '06. I've seen the lady on Bayberry come and go, like I see people pass, the Frank and Pearl gone, it was like there's people not here anymore that, I've been working with. So, and I see changes in the households, because it's the same household, so it's, people don't want to do it, like half of the ones, DEP wants you to do tier 1s, which are the 83, 84, 85 houses, and those, there's not that much building, the parks came in that time, but they're not applicable because they've got plastic piping inside, so they're pushing you back out to the Kenneth Streets and the Bayberry, and there's a few Timothy, but if they're not in those years, if they're prior to or prior after, then they're not part of it. So I've got like 60-something houses, and out of that, it drops down even more when I exclude buildings, commercial buildings that were put in.
Yeah.
So yes, I dropped off the bottles today. I have high hopes that I'll spend the next few days recovering them.
No, that's fine. At least you were able to get them though.
So once I get done with that, then I can turn to the rates and the service fees and look at them. And
Okay.
yeah, they probably all need adjusting. It's just I need time to look at them.
When was the last time the rates, do you have a rough idea when the last time the rates and the fees were increased?
I've been doing this for I don't think they've ever been increased, even in the 18 years I've been here. Just the water rate itself, the service fees have never been adjusted. That's why they're so out of skew.
No, water rates have had tweaks to them, but we need to
Right.
look at, particularly with excess usage and everything else, and try to swing things around, get more of it on the basic rate, so we're not so dependent on
Yep.
what we sell. It kills you when you have to, one thing you want people to be doing, to using the water, because it brings in the revenue, but.
Conservation.
Yeah, and you need to conserve, and you need to keep the
Yeah.
wells working. So you think you'll have that for the next meeting, or? Well, couple
I was
meetings?
hoping to get a couple of days off.
All right. New service tie-ins.
All right, so they slow us down greatly, and I'm sure that it's hard to find. There are a few contractors that will do it, but during the summer, after we're trying to replace some hydrants and do other stuff, and if I'm tied up doing a service fee, that's 3 days gone, and in a week, you don't know what's going to happen. If the weather gets involved, it could be a week and a half gone for just one service line. I'd like to suspend for the summer and then revisit it in the fall when we slow down a little on. By then we'll have caught up with replacing our hydrants.
I think we talked about this before, it was kind of a consensus to get the water department out of the service tie-in.
I'd like to be out of it altogether, but I don't know, the cost-wise, we'll have to talk about that at the time. Because basically, we've been subsidizing it for a long time.
I don't like that word.
I know.
But I mean, we don't need to, if we put it out to the contractors.
Right.
And it costs them what it costs them. And again, we don't have to worry about stocking materials. We don't
Right.
have to worry about dealing with the road repair afterwards.
Yeah.
At the last one though, I think what we did was, both Dylan and John had asked for some changes on the application. Did
Yeah.
they come in, did that get done?
It did get done. Do you need I can print them out.
Yeah, you wanna see a copy of that, and then we
Yeah.
can vote and we can get rid of this.
As long as we have supervision as well, that's the big,
Well, supervision, and you had something about a license.
plumbing code up to the meter, yeah, after the meter requirements.
And it's not ours, that's,
Well, I
Plumbing
guess you need to be
inspector.
licensed in order to touch the outlet of the meter. So we don't want some outfit coming in that just,
we still put the meter in.
yeah, as long as you don't touch the inlet nut. Outlet of the meter is the 248.
Yeah, I think that way, if we have that, we should be able to make it official. So that as people start calling, you can send them elsewhere. That's not bad. Restriction.
I do not see the plumbing code, CMR something, 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 which I know John was following.
CMR 248,
Up the top of the
section 10.
Page, line, and chapter.
Did the guy call you for the backflow preventer? He was asking for a height. That would have been Friday, I
For
think.
potable or for
I
fire?
don't- It had to do with 7 Manley Street, that's all I know.
No, I haven't heard from him.
All right.
Nope.
Okay, so that was one of them. we have a spec we give them for the curb stop and the corporation stop, so that we know what they're using
Yeah, well, they like the,
in our standard stuff now.
yeah, I'll have to call that up, we're using Mueller, almost everything we do is Mueller.
Something just to cover all, like, must comply with all local and state codes.
State doesn't really cover this stuff, the specs and stuff for the water department, as far as what we use for materials, what we use for.
Okay.
But we're applicable, must conform to all local plumbing codes, or?
Or just all water department, because this is all stuff outside the building. So the stuff in here isn't plumbing code.
Well, technically 10 feet from the foundation face to the point is plumbing code. So if you, like Wayne said, just if applicable,
Alright, so we're applicable,
Where are we putting it?
well, we're gonna add in a line, I guess.
must comply with all local and state code, just a catch-all, I guess. That's okay with you?
Do you need this approved before next week's?
No, because I'm not doing any service things.
Okay.
Oh, hold
Well,
on,
you had said you had-
she had, the people that were here, 307 South Main has this, so if there's any updates, I should probably get it to her.
Yeah, what they're doing is they're 2 inch, so when they come in,
One,
it's-
that's fine.
yeah,
They're not gonna use too much copper, are they?
yeah.
Ductile? They go copper as opposed to ductile?
They could do ductile, I don't know if you
Well,
pull.
if they're doing directional though,
Yeah,
it's
they're,
easier to pull
Oh,
a tube.
you're gonna be pulling it through.
Wow,
Yeah.
I can't imagine
I-
2HK,
That's,
60 feet under the road.
like 2 inch, we didn't like dealing with it, cause it's so heavy that it's
Yeah.
flat. So you've gotta
Mhm.
re-round the ends.
You can
when
reflare the ends and all
Yep.
that.
It's difficult, even just unrolling it is not,
Yeah. I think I've got a half a coil in my barn, about 50 years old.
yeah, we have a roll upstairs,
Yeah.
it's
Pancake now. Like you said, it comes, I don't know,
flat,
hollow,
yeah, it's got a flat side on it, it's,
I wouldn't want that job.
no,
2HK under that
No,
road.
you don't want that job either.
no, the 2 inch, I would've taken time off, it's brutal to work with.
No way.
You can't bend it, like
No way.
it's not,
Ask your father about that, Kerry. 2HK under a road.
that's why I was surprised, directional drilling is not cheap, I don't think he thinks he's gonna shoot a bullet under South Main Street.
Well, but that's the one with all the concrete under the road and everything.
Yeah, what were you saying, Wayne? It's a foot thick of,
It's almost a
Concrete?
foot thick,
I mean,
not
of
of
pavement?
concrete, of asphalt, yeah, they've just layered up, yeah, when we go to cut it, I know it's, at a minimum, it's 9 inches, cause you have to cut in sections and then work your way through. But if you go down by, near Tommy Snell's shop,
yeah.
you'll see the 3 patches. We started down at like the Autobahn place, that's where the water was surfacing. We had to keep, cause it kept surfacing there, but we kept chasing the leak back. The leak was actually the 3rd patch way down. And we had to chase it eventually, and that's the 8-foot section, it's 2 bolts welded together, that's disaster.
But each one of those times you dug, you were hitting.
Yep,
we'd foot.
Yeah, the water would not, it would be pouring across, under the surface, not,
Well, I think when that service is done at South Main Street, that direct supervision is there from someone from this department, just to make sure.
oh yeah, no, but anything, there'll be somebody there
You
present.
know, not just like poking in to see what's going
No,
on.
no,
I think
they'll
just
stay there all day.
Make
It's
sure
not,
everything's going on.
right.
Now, do we have access to town council?
I do.
Legalese to have them review this to make sure, because when you get into, like, I hope it wouldn't come down to this, where you say, like, should the unfortunate happen?
Yes, forcing them to dig it.
Yeah, there's gonna be some type of legal language there, I would think, that it doesn't leave it up to, suggestion what unfortunate means, or something like that, just because I don't know if there's loopholes or what in this,
Well, when the gas company has hit us, which they do, Usually they don't like it, but they stay on site, because if they decide that they're not gonna dig it, well, we're gonna drag our feet at what we're gonna be doing to fix it, and then that messes up their site. So when they set up for a day, they wanna be done in the day, they don't, no matter what contractor.
Right.
We've never had an issue working with anybody, but not to say that at some point you find somebody who says, all right, I'm not gonna do this job, walk away, and then they leave us with a hole in the water main.
But then, since homeowner and contractor are held liable, then we dig and we back charge them.
Right.
If we
Yeah, it would
But there's
fall
nothing
back on the
about bond in
homeowner.
Should bonds be required? Performance bond be required to do?
And that's where it gets, yep, that's the other thing that would happen.
I think once we had what John suggested, maybe we should just send it over there and have them skim it and see if there's any wording they would change.
We ever required bonds for, no, we do, we've never had somebody else doing this connection.
And we've never had it because in the past, you know, back before corrosion control and even in the beginnings, you just pump water up out of the ground, but now we spend more time in treatment and so we can't get around to do the other stuff that we really need to do, like replacing and updating hydrants. Because we get hung up on things like this, which can eat up, you know, one job can eat up a week depending upon the weather. If you get good weather, then it doesn't, and if you get good ground, but if you run into rocky ground, which it always seems to be.
Have we had private contractors doing it in the past though, at all?
Not that I know of, no. I mean, we had Dyer did the building that burnt out at the end of South Main. He dug and tapped the main for his sprinkle line, because it was a sprinkle line. When the sprinkle lines, we don't do anything, you know, we just watch.
Do we require a bond from them for those?
No. Because usually they don't want to hit it, because if they're digging across, they don't want to mess. They're more careful.
I'd be inclined to not require a bond for this stuff, and then, unless we start running into a problem, then change it then. You wouldn't think there'd be,
Well, for the residential stuff, no, but I think when we get to that, anything larger than 1 inch, I mean, that's when you're gonna get, anything larger than 1 inch, you'd be getting a larger contractor in there, which is more familiar and knowledgeable about the road work.
Right. They dig on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Whereas, like the ones that are doing service lines, like, I know one of the Scotland Street ones, the guy that she was getting a price from, the minute he found out he had to tap it, he walked away. Because it's not what he does.
Yeah, but you can sub out the tap to like a Holy or something.
Right,
like
but
that.
he didn't, I don't think he wanted to dig near the water main either.
well, if you're not gonna dig near the water main, you're not gonna put in service.
Right.
And so you've made a change
We'll make the change and then I'll give it to you in the next
Just
one.
review it again next week,
Yeah.
next meeting.
next month. And do you have people asking to, if this?
There's a resident that wants to tie in, and then there are 2 lots there, I believe, that want to tie in, or they're gonna put in wells.
So do we need to vote you the authority to say you're not gonna put them in? 'Cause I don't think, I went back looking at the minutes, I don't know that we ever actually voted
We didn't.
Right, you
Yeah.
didn't.
to say the water department stop putting the service lines.
Either that or suspend it until we review in the fall.
We have more time,
Right,
and we can figure out a price that we won't lose money on.
right.
But in the meantime, if someone needs a water service, they're on their own, we're just too busy to handle.
Right. Yeah, and that's basically
we'll go
what's
by the-
occurring. We've
By
got
the
our
existing
homework.
application.
You know, if we're not replacing the hydrants, and I know there's at least 10 on our schedule right now. You know, the one in front of the senior center, besides the fact that the DPW kept turning it around every time with the snow thing, that other guy came along and took it out entirely, so we need to move it back.
No, I'd rather you guys are doing hydrants than,
That,
We
you
have
know, like
plenty
our
of
gate
old items
exercising
now.
program and stuff, we can't get to that stuff because we're tied up doing other stuff, the services.
You got one on Matfield Street that needs a repair.
Yeah, that one. I don't know how he missed the pole, and the flowers are still growing, but he got the hydrant.
That prevented from going into the store.
That's a mess because that's where there's a few mains, there's things that happen underground there that aren't visible to the naked eye.
this
And that didn't
by
even
the
leak.
corner store.
Yeah.
That didn't even leak. I mean, there was no water out of the ground with that accident.
No, so he probably peeled, he didn't break
90.
the breakaway flange, so
Huh.
it rotated on the thing instead of popping off, which is good.
Yeah.
Alright, so going back here, do we need to vote then to tell you, or you, to give you the authority? Typically, people would come in and ask for a service, and we were
Right.
doing them as part of our work. So I think we should probably have a vote that says, until further notice, the water department will not be doing service tie-ins.
Deal with that.
And that way, it's official,
Right.
somebody can't complain if you say you're not doing it,
Yep.
and then we stop it for that. So can I get a motion to?
I'll make that motion.
I would amend that motion to say, under the satisfaction of the water superintendent. That the water service tie-ins that were to be done would be under his satisfaction. Because we're still gonna do them, but they're gonna be done by contractors, correct?
Yeah, well, we still are going to, they still have to do it a certain way, we still,
Right.
Right.
this vote is just to say he's not gonna be doing the actual
Right,
connections with our
So
people.
they still have to comply or conform with your standards of insulation,
Right.
coverage and all that
And
stuff.
that's still gonna be when the modified application is in.
right, once we get this
Yeah.
going. Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And we'll have that for the next meeting,
Yeah, I'll get that.
so we can just put that get that whole thing off.
Yep.
All right, water restrictions.
Well, I'm gonna I'll get some signs. And then we'll put up water restriction signs that are uneven and I'll put them in places prominent.
Just keep tracking, and again, I think we have to start getting to the point if people are abusing it. Particularly if we get a phone, if somebody sees something, we wanna make a note of it and get something out, but especially if somebody calls and complains that we logged the complaint.
The anonymous complaint line.
Yep.
What would be the circumstances going forward where we'd enter a ban?
So the drought,
Failure?
it's actually the drought that will, and I think they're
Yeah, the state will
gonna
tell us
meet,
if it's
I
gonna be.
think this week or they already met, either way. I haven't heard anything yet, but it's the drought advisory committee that would,
Okay.
if they, because the permit's now tied to the drought monitor.
Is that with DEP, is that the drought advisory committee that?
Yep,
granted?
they changed the law and tied all water permits to it.
Yeah, so it's not like we decide to go with the ban. it's what we
Because in the
do.
past, I was,
I think last year we did decide to go to ban because of the equipment.
well, I think
failure.
part of my permit says I have to watch the stream flow too, but the drought
Oh.
monitor is the other. So I still have to watch the stream flow, but I also now have to watch the drought monitor.
So when will they be meeting again, the drought control board?
I think they're gonna be meeting for the first time pretty soon, if it's not this week.
So just play it by ear on the signs then to see if they meet or.
Well, we already have water ban signs.
Well, the signs will still be here, they won't blot out because we keep them inside.
Yeah, so we get the signs for the restriction
Okay.
anyway, and we'll,
And then it's gonna, the same thing's gonna happen every year, so if we, hopefully we can get them to come in compliance and deal with the restrictions instead of a ban.
Right.
rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations. Kind of stuck upon me. Grant, water seeing,
That one that should have come off after,
Well, that'll come under, no, just leave it there, but I just haven't had time to look at that and read that too. That's a big document. Maybe I should send it to you sometime. I'll send it to you as a PDF. Cause our original rules and regulations was a little, this is a little.
Yeah, it's grown. over the
Yeah, it
years.
grew a lot because we had a need for it.
Yeah, if you have it as a PDF, email it out,
Yep,
and we'll have a chance, we all get to look at it first, to go through, see what we wanna do.
yep,
Instead of it for all falling on you to come through and then
right.
give it to us at a meeting. 477 West Center,
They did a fire flow test, I think, on Friday. So
did you hear the results at all, or?
I didn't hear the results because I didn't.
Is that the building next to Honeydew?
Yeah, that's the apartment complex. I don't know why they did, so they've done like 3 now, so. But this might be the final one. I think they're trying, I don't know what they're trying to determine.
And the one thing would be the size there,
Right,
what they need for the system.
yep.
Right, sir, did you have anything in particular you would like?
I just wanted to find out with regards to the wells, from, you know, how we had all the issues last year, have they all been repaired in town, or we still have wells that are down?
So we have 7 wells. All wells worked last year. We have 2 wells they present us problems because they're high in organics and they have color in them. So last year we used them and we blended them in. We have a pilot test going on those 2 wells right now. We started out one way. They wanted to look at different options for treatment plants. So they started out with the biological. They think they were going to go with a biological treatment plant. The color precluded that. You can't put a coagulant. You can't remove the color in front of a biological. So they switch over the pilot test to a green sand filtration pilot. Unfortunately, there's only so many people that do piloting for water systems. So the good thing is we were ahead in it. The bad thing is we started out on biological. So we're waiting for the green sand equipment to free up and then it's supposed to come here. So I believe we're next on the list. We're just waiting for it to appear. So those 2 wells aren't part of the system right now. I haven't seen a definite need to, the most I'm gonna get out of them is 150 gallons a minute because I have to blend it in and try to
Right.
reduce the color and the organics because it's extremely high in manganese and iron. So the manganese presents a real problem when it's out in the system. And now the color, during the pilot test, it began to pull color in, so that's another problem now. Previously, it didn't have the color. Manley Street we pulled down in October because I rehabilitate on I have 4 sites, which encompasses the 7 wells. So I work around, but because things didn't work out, there was a couple of years we didn't get it. So last year in October, that's when we went back in, we came out of the ban and went right back into a ban because I pulled it down so I could rehab it. Part of the rehab was the screen had brought it out below, so that made it take almost a month and a half to bring that back on. That's why we did back-to-back water bans when we came out. It was confusing to the public, but there was a definitive reason why. So everything's back up and running. When we get to this fall this year, I'm gonna pull off another well that's high in iron, and I know it's overdue to be rehabbed, but it should come back up fast. It's 1 well, but it's a big well. It's a 50-horse well.
Okay.
So it can produce a lot right now. It should be producing almost 500 gallons a minute. Right now it's only producing about 437. So it's down and it's due for rehab, but I can't pull it off now because we definitely go into a strict water ban
You
where,
need it for the main.
yeah, I need it for the summer.
Yeah. Another thing with the water conservation that we're trying to do, one of the things, even your website, like I've got one of these sprinkler controllers that has smart features on it. But it seems like the restrictions don't allow the use of smart functions because like when I have it in smart mode, it will turn on maybe 2 times a week, but I can't tell you if it's an even or odd day. You know what I mean? Or it might water 1 zone one day and then 2 zones another day. And it's using less water, and I find when I use it, I actually use a lot less water than if I'm running 20 minutes a zone every couple days.
So yours must be a newer system then, right?
Yeah, it's
We
an
have
old system that's been around for a few years.
Yeah.
But, you know, it even talks about it on the website that you sent the link out to.
Right, I went through and found those links because we've got people, they're watering morning and night and they're running them for 3 or 4 hours at a whack, you know, they're only
Right.
putting 10 minutes to this zone and that zone, but
Right,
it's a lot of water. Then I referenced the fact that I had one guy who put 3 feet of water across 3/4 of an acre. Like, there was a water park for the town.
yeah.
But
No, I
no,
just-
if you could get everybody to switch over, but it's not, and our usage didn't come down with that's why we're trying water restrictions. If I can get people to
Right.
ease up, I don't wanna go out and find anybody, cause the person I'm gonna catch is the poor person who went out just to water their shrubs, cause they just
Right,
put
right.
them in.
Right, no, and I'm all for conservation, I mean, I'm changing my bathroom heads and everything else,
Right.
trying to make the house more water
Right.
conservative, but I'd like to continue to use this feature because I've actually tried it both ways before, and it graphs
And
year
there's
to year, and when
and
the
there's
years
no way
are-
to just, to have it with a
No,
stop that it can't go on certain.
I've looked into all the things and you can't do anything with it to make it say like my house number is 4, so I'm on an even day. I can't restrict it from, not doing when it goes down to like 20% water in the soil. That's when it triggers. And it's random with each zone, but I find that what it does is it'll put it on for 10 minutes or 15 minutes then it'll run 3 days later, Whereas if I'm doing 20 minutes every 2 days, I'm in effect using more water.
More water.
Is it,
But I don't wanna, like you said, have someone call up, say, hey, we got a house number 4 running their water on the 19th of July, because this thing's trying to save me water usage, but it doesn't sound like, the system allows.
do you say it's an orbit?
It's an orbit
Controller?
control, yeah, it has a smart water feature on it.
Okay.
And it typically, and what it does, what I like about it is like, it automates all the zones. So like zones with less heads or different types of vegetation,
Right.
it cuts the water down. So it automatically controls everything. And it's all based on humidity and the, weather reports, because it's tracking everything in the area. It's
Right.
all,
Yeah, so I have a ratio control for mine, and so I have smart water too.
Mhm.
And deep in the settings, I found where I can switch it to odd and even days.
okay, I'll look
Where I
at
do that,
it.
and it works with the smart feature.
Okay, I'll look
I don't know.
again. I
I'm
was
not as
hoping-
familiar with Orbit, but
yeah.
it might be in there somewhere.
Okay, yeah, I looked through it the other day, once I heard about this, the restrictions, I was like, because I
Yeah.
wanna keep that on, because I really did find I used less water the 1 year I used it fully.
Right.
And I was like, this is great, and then I saw this and I was like, oh, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I
the
love
intent is not for us to make you use more water.
Right.
We'll have to think of a,
Right, and then it comes up to making people put signs out that said, I'm a smart system. Right now, there's a lot of people that have private wells. We went through last year and we found them all because as soon as they got a fine, they called us right up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Right.
when,
They can have signs.
I have them, no, we still don't require signs. I have to pick and choose my fights with them.
Yeah,
But they should, and it would be the same with the smart system, like, so that when people saw yours going, you don't have neighbors on either, well, he's doing it, well, I'm gonna do it.
right.
And that's what happens, it's
and
like,
then we'd have to
it
register
escalates,
them,
right.
the people with the smart systems with us, because
Right.
otherwise people would get the idea to just put a smart system sign up in front of their house.
Right,
Yeah, so-
right.
Had one or not.
Right, and that would be a matter of registering and inspecting, and that's what I did with the private wells.
Yeah. And that may be something to consider if that's an issue,
Yeah,
because
I
it
mean,
it would be counterproductive to tell people
Right.
to take it off. But if they can be reprogrammed,
Yeah, I'll
so
look
that
at
they
it.
only work on
I've got it
certain
right here
days.
on my phone, I'll look at it again even before I leave. Another question I had was with some of the building going in town, we've got some big developments going up now. Have we ever looked into having them have their own well water system for them so they're not taxing the rest of the town? And I know we were looking at a waste treatment center at one point for the one on, what was it, Scotland? But I know that fell apart. But have we thought about, as more development comes into town, maybe having it, well water?
Well, we're a public utility, and technically you're supposed to provide it if you have capacity.
But it sounds like we're getting pretty
Well,
near our capacity.
Except we
Well,
just did a demand build-out analysis, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
we had that done, and they look at the zoning, and they look at what can be built, and according to that, we have sufficient, we might not be able to pump it out of the ground if a well's down, but we are supposedly have sufficient capacity to take us out.
And you might have a
Okay.
smart system, but the guy who was putting 3 feet of water on his
Right.
property,
Yeah.
he didn't
Right.
care and he wasn't running his in smart mode.
Right, right.
And there's a lot like him, it's not.
Right.
the-
No, I'm totally for, cutting the usage.
Right, 'cause you spend money where you want to,
Right.
and that's, right.
Okay, yeah, I'll check that on my system, but thank you.
No, we do have capacity, it's just, right now, a lot of it's going on lawns, and it's overwater.
Mhm.
They're surface rooting their grass instead of letting it dig deep to find the water.
Right, right.
Or watering the sidewalk and the road and,
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot of that.
that was it, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to bring up that was
So-
not on the agenda that we can discuss?
So, it's just discussion, but Larry Hargraves will probably be coming forward at the
He's on
next
the
meeting.
agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, cause he had to be somewhere at this one, so he couldn't make it.
This is West Center?
Pleasant Street.
Pleasant Street, yeah.
Yeah, so he wants to tie into the 8-inch stub that he brought across for that purpose. He's gotten costs, so to come across the road is more money. He wants to just run down the other side with the water main to his building. So, just so that you know that.
What will you tie on to? What's on that side of the building? That street?
This is at the end of the street?
Yeah, so
He- he
so
was
he's
in
the
here.
very end before you hit the swamps.
Okay.
Did it come on? I didn't see it light up. There it is.
What size main you get down that street? Wayne?
So there's a 12-inch, but he brought, before they paved the road, he brought an 8-inch across for the express purpose of the 3 properties that are sitting there. So that's his stub that he brought across.
Oh, what side of the street are we on now? Where's the new building that he's constructing right now?
It's in this one.
Oh, okay, all right.
And that's where he wants to run down to that
Okay.
corner and then into it.
So he wants to run it on his property and then,
Right, well, he wants to be on that side because that's where the other
right, he's got
company
another
is,
10 acres of land.
Alessandro or.
Yeah,
Okay, so this 625 is the small duplex,
Yes, yep,
warehouse.
Yep.
Where, are we that red line right there? Is that what we're talking about?
yeah,
So
so
the
the,
red pipe is
where,
the 8-inch pipe.
where it
that
says
brought
8-inch, I can zoom up if you want.
Okay,
Oh,
Okay.
This one are yellow?
Hey, I just happen to have a drawing handy. Yeah, this is the 8-inch stub right there.
so that supplies 250, 250.
So it doesn't
250
supply
now?
anybody right now, but he brought it across before they paved the road to supply this property and that property.
The green pipe's a 12-inch.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Those two
Yeah,
attached.
this
I
is
got
the-
you, okay.
Yeah, he extended this main, he actually extended that and brought that down to there.
Mm-hmm.
Because eventually, when he cleans that property up, he's gonna build something in there on that
Okay.
side.
So he just wants to run parallel to Scott?
Yeah, he wants to run down, he wants to put a T in there, and then he wants to just run down until he gets in there and then run into his building.
okay.
As opposed to running additional stuff on the other side.
Right, because if
coming across.
he's, yeah, on the other side, he's gonna run across, and then he's gonna come across the building where the gas company just repaved that. So, the town would probably fight him now.
Give
Open
them
up the road?
The local
Yeah.
road.
Didn't we approve him for something already?
So, Rick wanted him to extend down on that side and extend it down for future in case we ever run up Pleasant Street. But there's,
Through the swamp.
yeah,
Right.
that's where the Blue Heron, well, they're not there anymore, because I think the windstorms wiped out. all
Yeah,
the
and I was
nests.
gonna say that big rookery there got all wiped out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still around, they just found a new place to live. But that's all swamp on either side.
And if we ever did decide, it'd be basically that length, because it wasn't even going the whole length of that
Right.
lot to get in.
And if we can get the, on Lincoln Street side, if we get them to bring it down, then you pretty much have 12 inch looped
Yeah.
around.
Nice.
You don't need another loop on this side.
So he's gonna come in
Requesting to
next
run
week,
on that
requesting
side.
changing it to come down that
Yeah.
side. All right, so we'll see him next meeting.
Alright, and then the other thing is the lead cup, like I got all the bottles out today, so I've got 16 bottles I'm hoping to collect tomorrow. Or over the next few days.
Yep.
And that'll complete this round. I think DEP got a little nervous because I wasn't gonna meet it the June 30th, and it was because of them.
Anything else?
Nope, I don't have any.
The next meeting is gonna be Tuesday, June 20th.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, 19th is a holiday.
Yeah. It was an holiday.
Juneteenth.
Juneteenth.
Water Commission. All right, nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn at 6:57.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See you in 2 weeks.